Hey there, guys. All right, today we are back with some more geography now. This time, Micronesia, Federated States. Or, well, the Federated States of Micronesia. Before we dive in, make sure you go and check out the links in the description box below. The description box below. I would love it if you joined the Discord and followed me over at Twitch. Yeah, really got... I was wrong. I think last episode, for some reason, I thought, I mixed up Mexico and Micronesia because someone said Noah comes back in the Micronesia episode. For some reason, I read that as Mexico. Don't ask me how I did that. The brain works in mysterious ways. But I believe I'm remembering it correctly that you said Micronesia. So I'm hopeful for the return of the man with biceps as big as my head. And boulder shoulders. The boulder will not fight a little girl. I need to rewatch Avatar. Anyways, I've rambled here. Let's dive in.
Hey everybody, before you watch this episode, just a little disclaimer. I was stupid and I booked the wrong day at the YouTube space, so we weren't able to film in the studios. So I had to improvise and we filmed in my house. So the next two episodes are gonna have the same quality of how we used to film the episodes back in like 2016. Relatively poor echoey audio quality and very visible black backdrop. But I did not want to not upload a video this week, so I had to give you something. I mean, these Geography Now videos are mostly just about the information, right?
So because I'm new to Geography Now, like I didn't start watch. I hadn't even heard of Geography Now until I started. Really until like when was I think the first time I ever reacted to Geography Now was their Germany episode. I think that was my first one. And so I didn't hear about the channel until like when I watched that video. I don't even remember how. I can't remember if it came up from one of you guys commenting it as a recommendation or if it just showed up in my feed, in my YouTube recommended. But however it came to be, how did they use to, like, obviously nowadays they upload less frequently because they put in more time, and the videos are longer, so they do more. But back in this time period, were they uploading a new country like every week? Is that what was happening? No, it couldn't be, because this is like 2018, 2019 maybe? Maybe 2017? 2018, 2019 or so? Maybe 2020? I think it's 2018, 2019. Because they haven't said anything about COVID. So, back in 2016. How frequent did they used to upload? I don't know. I'm just curious.
Right. I'm sorry, guys. But anyway, I tried my best, and I still wanted to give you a video this week. So without further ado, here we go.
It's time to learn geography now!
Want to hear a Micronesia joke?
No!
Too bad. Imagine a
Noah!
dog named Ray on a dinner date. When the bill came, he had to use his pawn and pay, but then was shook and surprised because Ray was broke. Yep.
Alright, that's 4 strikes. You know the drill.
So worth it. Oh, and hey, Noah's back.
Hey.
Bum, bum, bum.
For the record, in this episode, I'm just going to refer to the country as Micronesia because the official title is too long, the Federated States of Micronesia. You get what I'm saying. Anyway, I love Pacific Island nations because they probably get the least amount of coverage in terms of global awareness, which means Geography Now gets to be a platform for the obscure. Plus, you know, it kind of adds to the Oceania playlist. First of all, the country lies in the sub-region of the Pacific Ocean known as Micronesia, which is obviously where the country gets its name from, which also includes the states of Palau, Nauru, parts of Kiribati, and the US territories of Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands, and Wake Island. The country is made up of 607 islands, sometimes collectively referred to as the Caroline Islands. These take up over 1 million square miles of oceanic territory.
That's a lot of miles.
Exclusive economic zone. However, in land surface area, they only make up about 217 square miles.
That's
All
not
the
a lot.
islands are divided into
Square
4
miles.
states made up of island clusters. They are Yap, Chuk, Pohnpei, not Pompeii, Pohnpei. Oh, and don't forget this little straggler, Kapingamarangi belongs to it. And
What?
finally, Little Khosrow, which is really only like one little island with a few small islets off its coast. It's the only state with no atolls. The capital, Palikir, is located on Pohnpei, the largest, highest, and most populous island in the entire nation. However, the largest city in itself is actually Ueno on the Chuk Atoll. The country has 4 international airports, one for each of the states, the busiest ones being Pohnpei and Chuk, whereas one domestic airport lies on Ulithi. There are also small airfields and airstrips located on various islands across the country for shipping and deliveries. Today, they do kind of have a small dispute with Spain over that little straggler guy, Kapingamarangi. Apparently, when the Spanish sold off their islands to the Germans, this little guy kind of wasn't part of the deal. Eventually, just kind of de facto landed in Micronesia's claim. Otherwise, most of the urban centers are located on the large mountainous islands, 3 of which, Pohnpei, Chuk, and Yap, host shipping harbors. If you look close to Chuk's harbor, they kind of have a ship that failed. Anyway, just like we talked about in the Marshall Islands episode, Micronesia is also a compact of free association agreement state with the United States. Yada yada yada, you've heard it before.
No, I haven't. I'm a new subscriber. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, some people are new to this channel. Well, basically, in the quickest way I can summarize it. Alright, okay, I think we're kind of ready to be our own thing now. Woohoo!
Oh, but you know, I already built all these bases. We have all these cool trade deals, diplomatic agreements with other nations. You guys seem to like that spam stuff as well, and the burgers I introduced. I mean, do you really want to start from scratch?
I mean, yes, but I don't know, maybe we can kind of...
With this different lighting, Noah looks a lot different to me. I don't know what it is. There's something about this light. Maybe it's just the height. 'Cause he looks shorter too. Like the height difference here isn't the same. Did Barbie go through a growth spurt, or is someone wearing shoes and someone not wearing shoes?
Like keep this thing going, but also by relinquishing your official hold on us, so we kind of have like a nominal claim to independence.
Oh, Mikey, it's like you've been reading my diary.
And that's basically how it happened in the 80s. And speaking of which, some notable sites of the country might include Nan Mandol, the Yap Stones, Chuk Lagoon, one of the world's biggest wartime ship graveyards, Tamlyok Trail, the Lelu and Menke ruins on Khosrow, the petroglyphs on Pohnpei, Japanese-era sites like the Old Lighthouse, the Nefo Cave, the Yap Art Gallery Studio, Yap's Living History Museum, and honestly, probably the coolest thing to do would just be walking around the streets of any village and finding a cool cafe or mom and pop shop. Just chill. You're in Micronesia. The entire country in itself is kind of a spectacle to be a part of, and especially when you notice the landscape. Which brings us to... Now, unlike some of their neighbors, Micronesia got lucky and snagged a few solid, fully formed mountainous islands. And when you have hills, you have an advantage. First of all, the country is spread across the western Pacific Ocean on a smaller subregion of the Greater Pacific Plate known as the Caroline Plate, formed by the underwater Sorrel Trough. Mount Nonlod on Pohnpei is the highest peak of the country, where the longest river, the Ladao, flows. Yap and the atolls around it are the only parts of the country that cross over the Philippine Plate, over the Yap Trench. The islands were basically formed from underwater volcanoes that either partially or fully breached the surface, or both. The ones that had the edges breached became atolls, the ones that had the center breached became full-on islands, and then there was a third kind, which the center and a few edges were breached, which became lagoons. So there you go, Oceanic Geology 101. And there's the part where I take a triple shot of espresso break. That means making his triumphant return. You love him, my physical geography segment co-host, Noah! Hey, you look a little different.
Then what you mean? The good news is...
Wait, hold on. Okay, so I was right.
Segment co-host, Noah! Hey, you look a little different.
Oh, that's what it is. That's what it is. He doesn't have the beat. That, yeah. Also, the lighting. Dude still looks fucking yoked with, like, this is shitty lighting. This is shitty lighting. Motherfucker still looks like this is, you know, low overhead lighting, which makes, you know, if you know anything about like kind of like camera work, posing, you know, especially for like modeling or things like that, making the muscles look better, this kind of lighting is the lighting you want for that. Like this is what makes you look huge. This kind of lighting helps you make you look huge. Motherfucker doesn't need it. Look at him. Yoked.
Then what you mean? The good news is the islands get quite a bit of rain, so fresh water is never too hard to come by. Most people collect it for...
But damn, he does look a lot different without the beard. I was wondering what it was. I knew something was off.
daily use. The islands with mountains are able to harbor small rivers and creeks, Pompeii alone having over 40, some creating beautiful waterfalls. Otherwise, you can hike at beautiful natural sites like the Socas Rock or scuba dive in many spots like the Blue Hole. The country doesn't have a national animal, but it is a bird haven. Species like the Truk monarch, the Pohnpei lori, the coast red greater white-eye are all endemic to the islands. Economy-wise, the country mostly depends on agriculture and fishing. However, let's be honest, they only have about 100,000 people. So they come up with a great idea on how to capitalize off of their vast open ocean territory.
Cuando pienso en el futuro, me imagino un futuro sin límites.
Introducing the Hide and Seek from Bellroy. A traditional wallet on the outside, it hides a few tricks.
Hey, you have a lot of ocean.
Yeah.
With fish in it.
Yeah, so?
I want to go fish in it.
Pay up a couple $1 million and we'll give you a seasonal license.
And that's how they subsidize a part of their GDP. Food-wise, you get the typical island staples, taru, breadfruit, bananas, and of course, pretty much any kind of fish they can catch will be on the menu. Don't be surprised to find betel nuts everywhere, a sort of chewing tobacco substitute that people on all islands use. Sakao is a popular drink, especially on Pohnpei. It has relaxing effects that is made from squeezing the roots of the pepper shrub in the inner bark of a hibiscus tree. Kind of like the kava drink we talked about in the Fiji episode. It's a great social drink that locals enjoy at casual get-togethers. And that brings us to...
Thank you, Noah. Follow him on Instagram. Alright, so if you're new to this channel, one thing you'll have to learn is when it comes to ocean people, there's a difference between Melanesia, Micronesia, and Polynesia. Micronesians are interesting because it's kind of like each island has its own story and tradition. It's like if you met your cousin once and didn't see them again for 15 years, they'd probably change a lot, but you'd still be family. First of all, the country has about 105,000 people and has about a 3% birth rate. The majority of the country is ethnically Micronesian, however split up into 4 distinct ethno-linguistic groups. About half of the population are Chukis, a quarter are Pohnpeian, 10% Yapis and Outer Yapis, about 6% Kosraean, and the rest of the country is made up of other groups, mostly Americans, Asians, and Polynesians. They use the American dollar as their currency, they use the types A-B plug outlets, and they drive on the right side.
Damn right they do. The right side of the road, it's correct. Thank you, Micronesia.
Side of the road. However, some of their cars might have steering wheels on the right side, so it's
what the fuck?
kind of weird. English is the official language used between all peoples, but there are 8 other recognized indigenous languages spoken throughout the islands, including 2 Polynesian languages spoken by the people on Nuku'oro and Kapingamarangi. The Micronesian languages are all related, however some of the words are completely unintelligible. For example, for hello you have Mogetin, Ran Alim, Kaselelia, Len Wo. Yeah, they don't even sound anything alike, and each one has less than 50,000.
Hold on. Why the fuck did that well, they are separated by water. So, of course, the language drift could be immense from that. But, like, still, I feel like there'd be a closer... the languages would be more closely similar than... Like, those did not sound at all like the same language group to me.
Speakers, so it shows how far the cousins can change when you're separated by thousands of miles of water for centuries. Culturally speaking, the people here come from a long yet mysterious line of chiefdoms, clans, traditions, and customs mostly rooted in oral tradition passed down through generations. There's the legend of the twin sorcerers that created Nan Madol. Supposedly they had the help of a flying dragon, and that's how the first dynasty was supposedly started. Not only that, but on Yap, the residents literally used these huge stone discs known as rye stones as their currency. Technically the largest currency in the world. About 65,000 of them can be found all over the islands. You can also find traditional meeting houses called Pe'ebai and Falu. They also use canoes with plated leaf sails. The Chuk Islands has a tradition of love sticks that they kind of use for dating. The man is supposed to poke his crush, and if she accepts, she's supposed to grab the sharp stick and pull him in. Essentially, though, you see a lot of remnants of the former colonizers in their society. For example, no shocker, they speak English with an American accent and generally keep up with American media and trends. They love rice too, even though it doesn't grow there. It was introduced from various nations, especially the Japanese.
Bro, rice is just fantastic, though. Like, come on. Rice is just... you can do so much with it. And I don't think it's really an allergen either. Because I used to... So, story time. When I was in community college, I had a scholarship that pretty much paid for everything in community college except for the books. And so tuition free tuition. But part of the thing with the scholarship was I had to do volunteer work only 20 hours of volunteer work a semester. And so one of the places I would go to do my volunteer work was, it's kind of more of a Christian thing. I didn't really care too much for the Christian aspect of it, but like it was, cause like I'm not a religious person. It's not a thing for me. So I really didn't really care too much for going there because they, the people that kind of worked there, were religious people. They're there because like church or something. I was just there because volunteer work. I need to do some hours. And I was like, this is a good place, or at least I think it was a good place. I hope there haven't been any problems that have arisen from this charity. But anyways, this place, it was Feed My Starving Children. I think that's what it was. It was Feed My Starving Children. I'd go there, and part of the meal packets that they do was rice and like a couple other things, because the items that they chose were stuff that like wouldn't be going against like any culture in the world, right? Because some cultures can't eat certain meats, and no allergens. I don't think there were anyone had you. I don't think it was possible to really be allergic to any of the things within the meal packet. I've never heard of anyone being allergic to rice.
Japanese. Most Micronesians, at about 97%, are Christians, introduced mostly through the Americans, Germans, and
But also rice, you can just like rice can be combined with like fucking anything, man. You just you can I fully support rice.
in Spanish. About half of them are Protestant, half are Catholic. The more west you go, closer to the Philippines, it becomes more Catholic. The more east, it becomes more Protestant. Speaking of the introduction of outside influences, history. Ancient Austronesian people, probably from Southeast Asia, sailed in. Chieftain-based societies established. The Yap people developed quite a unique economic and religious culture. Nanmadol is built, starting the Settler dynasty. Portuguese come by, but they don't really care too much. The Spanish pass by and care very much. They hold on to it and make it part of the Spanish East Indies. They build the town of Colonia on Pompeii. The Spanish-American War caused Spain to sell the islands to Germany. Then it became German New Guinea. World War I, the Japanese come in and take it. World War II, Operation Hailstone. The UN agrees that the US should administer the islands as a trust territory. Yap, Chuk, Pohnpei, and Kosrae agreed to join up and create a constitution for independence. Then they all signed the Compact of Free Association with the US in 1986. Compact renewed in 2004. And here we are today. Some notable people who are either Micronesian or from the Federated States of Micronesia might include people like Toshio Nakayama, James H. Newman, Leo Falcam, Deborah Daniel, Jesse Che Mori, Orphan Ozeki, Ralinda, Manuel Mingenfeld, Michael Jones McKean, Meter Wendelin, and Kirsten Hadley. To be honest, it was a little difficult to find some of those people. I had to search Micronesian message boards. I don't know, if you just so happen to be a Micronesian person watching this video, please feel free to revise that list if you want. Anyway, friend zone.
Bum, bum, bum.
Since independence in the 80s, Micronesia has built up a lot of international ties. They have ties to over 80 countries and 4 permanent embassies in China, Fiji, Japan, and the US. For one, China and India have both kind of competed to see who can cozy up to the islands more. China has built things like a gymnasium, they donated police cars, and built the giant clam farm on Kosrae. India has given them farming machinery and offers scholarship grants. Of course, the USA is the biggest trade partner and supporter of overall infrastructure and development. As part of the Compact Association, Micronesians have access to US services like postal and communications. They can move about freely, working and living in each other's countries. Micronesians are even allowed to serve in the US military. However, they don't share the same benefits as US citizen military personnel. Micronesia is part of the Nauru Agreement, a union of 8 signatories in Oceania that control nearly a third of the world's tuna supply. They regulate fishing laws and manage business together. Of these nations, of course, their closest friends would probably be their Micronesian siblings, the Marshall Islands and Palau. These two are also Compact Association Agreement members with the US. Out of these two, though, Micronesia might be a little bit closer to Palau. They have a little closer history. Those Yap stones were actually mined and transported from Palau. They love each other's music, and whenever they get the chance to see each other, it's like family reunion all over again. But the Marshall Islands are invited too. In conclusion, the Federated States of Micronesia are kind of like the 4 musketeer cousins that hadn't seen each other in a long time. They could barely speak to each other, but somehow they came together in 1986 and showed the world that an island culture can thrive well into the new era. Stay tuned! Moldova is coming up next.
Oh, all right. And that was Geography Now, Micronesia, Federated States. We got nothing to add here at the end. This was a good episode. I thought it was pretty well paced, actually. It wasn't too quick, wasn't too slow. I think this was perfectly paced for the information that they wanted to say for Micronesia. I don't feel like we really missed out on anything in regards to Micronesia. Maybe a little bit more on the history side of things, but you know, that's just because historian is not needed. I feel like we got enough of Micronesia's history to be satisfied. Maybe a bit more emphasis would have been nice. Like there was a lot of talk on the colonial history. I think it would have probably been nice to get a little bit more on the non-colonial, the pre-colonial history. I think would have been cool, or just talk more about the pre-colonial aspects that have survived to this day. Perhaps maybe would have been a nice touch. I'm always going to be preferential to discussing pre-colonial things, because that's more interesting to me, instead of, you know, a foreign power coming in and changing things. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.